Well, good afternoon. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town. We are a growing station, also on 102.3 FM, and you can find most of our local shows on social media, particularly Rumble, some of them on Truth Social, some of them on Twitter, and most all of them on Facebook. Today, I have the pleasure of being here with the boss, my guest, Guillermo Moreno.
No big queso today? The big cheese? The big guy? No, that's Joe Biden. I'm not the big guy.
Well, you know, if we went with the big cheese the third time, I was like,
that's
you
true.
know,
all right, fine.
I was already on thin ice. I didn't know if I should push my luck.
You're I only wanted to cancel you, like, I don't know. There was one show where you were against Trump, and I was like, I just can't have that on the station. No, I'm just joking. Always a pleasure, Eric, and I enjoy being on here. I don't get invited very often, so I'm not sure why.
Well, let's see. The last invite you had to cancel.
That's very true. I think I've canceled the last 3 actually. So no, and I'm glad I didn't cancel because I have my wisdom tooth out, but I'm doing good. Painkillers aren't bad.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Now I can proudly say my wisdom teeth are still all intact.
So that's why
in my 50s. I'm not saying what difference it makes, but
you
we'll
are
see.
Very wise because you still have all 4 of them.
Well, you know, there's a fine line between wise and that other word that usually is associated with it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Par for the course.
Absolutely.
And you have a beautiful, and they can't see it. They can't see the stars.
Well, that is a World War II 48 star flag. Being a constitutionalist, I very much am patriotic, very much pay attention to U.S. history. So I have numerous flags, and I will be featuring some of those. I even have a California flag sitting near us at this time, courtesy of one of the local shops, Clovis Antique Mall, where I purchased it the other day. Now, it's a little stained, a little faded, a little rough. And I think that's kind of fitting because the Democrats have done their best to destroy this flag.
I'm going to wave it.
But it is still, from my perspective, it's still a proud flag. And not everybody from California is nuts. We've had some big things in the news. I kind of want to...
Hold on, I'm going to do the Donald Trump thing. I'm going to hug the flag. All right, sorry.
Well, for our listening audience, that is Guillermo hugging the bear right there.
The ferocious bear.
The ferocious grizzly bear that no longer exists. Last one died in the 1920s up in Yosemite.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
There's no bears in Yosemite.
There are bears. There are no grizzly bears.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Black bears are very different than grizzly bears.
Gotcha. You could have fooled me.
Well, we had one more of the vice presidential, second place loser debate the other night.
That's exactly what. That's very, very apropos.
And there were a lot of fireworks.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite moment?
I think every time Vivek mentioned Nikki Haley was a moment. I really liked it when and this is genius, when he put Nikki equals corruption or corrupt. That was the best part when Vivek told Chris Christie to get the hell off the stage and go enjoy a nice meal. I really liked it. What people don't realize is, is Vivek running a serious campaign? I think he absolutely is running a serious campaign. And sometimes your strategy has to change. But I think as far as, you tune into the debates to see somebody get roughed up. Let's stop pretending like I want to know what they think about Indo-European Asian affairs. Like nobody cares. You want to hear someone call Chris Christie fat.
Well,
this is what you want to hear.
You want to knock down. America has a short attention span, and they want a soundbite in a moment.
Yeah.
And Vivek's the only one providing one. Ron DeSantis this last time was steady, and he was all right.
Yeah. I mean,
Nikki though was made to look like a fool when she didn't know the 3 provinces that she wanted to take away from Russia. And that's a hard one because you've got Zelensky, who's a dictator.
Yeah.
He has banned the church. He has canceled the next election, and he controls all the press. Well, and he's corrupt. Is he any worse than Russia?
Gosh, no.
No.
So, even before Russia decided to invade, Ukraine was, I think they were more corrupt than Mexico. I mean, they were the top of the list. I mean, if that doesn't, and that kind of bugs me now. Listen, do I want a country to be invaded by another? No. I'll do the Kamala Harris thing. Very small country, very big country. I don't want that. I don't want any country invading each other unless it's absolutely necessary, like you have with Hamas and Israel. But Hamas isn't a country. Anyhow, I digress. But the reality is, I don't understand why the United States and Americans have such a love affair with Ukraine, as if it is some kind of innocent country that was just there. They were just minding their own business. They didn't do anything wrong. They weren't corrupt. They were good. No. It was a very corrupt.
RCIA disposed their last leader.
Yeah.
And pick up any leftist journal or online magazine from 5 years ago, and they all talk about Ukraine being the most corrupt.
Yeah.
And now the left has decided that's their baby. And I think the reason why is because so many of the corrupt people, including, to be fair, Mittens Romney, he happens to be a barely sort of kind of a Republican, because they have corrupt ties. I think they're covering for Joe Biden.
They could be. That makes sense. I guess I didn't look at it that way. But why are Republicans in love with Ukraine then? Because I think the vast majority. Because
a lot of Republicans are part of just like Nikki Haley, the bought-off military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
It's not about doing the right thing. It's about making some cash. And Nikki Haley has quite successfully made some cash.
Yeah, she
went from $500,000 in debt to $12 million to the good.
I did not know that.
4 years later.
I did not know that.
Through Boeing.
Yeah, I did not know that. And that's where I think one of the best moment that stuck with me was that fact that he called Nikki Haley corrupt. And after that hit so well, because after that I couldn't look at her the same. Well, not that I was looking at her, in a favorable light anyways, but she was giving me Hillary Clinton vibes. Right? Because, I mean, how else do you make all this money after you leave public? And she said, oh, well, it was $100,000. That's not a lot of money for a lot of people, but it was something to us. And me and my husband served in public service. And she gave this entire answer that was like, oh, they're over there slumming it. Nikki Haley is not slumming it. She hasn't been slumming it for a long time. But, the debates are interesting because what are they debating for? Like I think even Chris Christie said, like, none of us have a shot. Let's be real. None of them have a shot.
Well, it depends on which candidate. I think that Vivek is debating for an idea. Okay. He stands for a set of principles.
Yeah.
I think Ron DeSantis, you can somewhat say that, but he represents a little different wing of the party, but close. He kind of bridges the gap there. You've got Christie, who simply wants to trash Trump at every opportunity. That's the only reason he's there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then you've got Haley, who delusionally seems to believe that she's a good alternative. And I don't see MAGA people. She's better than Harris and she's better than Biden. But I think I could find people out on the street that I'd trust more.
Yeah. And without a doubt, I think Nikki Haley, I honestly thought that Trump and the movement had really beat back the establishment wing of the Republican Party. I really did. I don't know why. I guess okay,
not yet.
I honestly thought we were there, so I was really surprised to see. And you got to be careful what you read too, because I think there's a lot of publications out there saying, "Oh, Nikki Haley's got a shot. She's she's the viable alternative." You have all these media sources that are bought and paid for by the establishment that are pretty much pushing her up there. And last night in the crowd, it was a pro Nikki Haley crowd. That doesn't happen by happenstance.
No, because they pay for those people to be in those seats.
Without a doubt. And the RNC, listen, the RNC is in on the take too. We can't sit here and pretend. Ronna McDaniel does not want another Trump presidency. She doesn't even want Vivek on the stage.
No, she wants people she can control.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a whole other conversation. The Republican Party's a whole other conversation for another day. However, I think my biggest takeaway is that I'm done with debates, Eric. I'm tired. I don't think we're getting anything out of it. In fact, I think the only person that wins is Joe Biden. And they keep saying the same thing. They keep saying the same thing.
No, I think Trump also wins.
Oh, Trump definitely wins. But I'm so tired. Chris Christie, if he talks about his experience at the Justice Department one more time before 9/11, I'm gonna yank my hair out. I'm so tired of hearing about that. I was in there on September 10th. Like, okay, great. You have the power of the government behind you. You're putting away very bad guys. Like, that's not a hard job, Chris. Like, you might think it is, but it's not. And then if I hear Nikki Haley one more time talk about how she was at the UN and she used to sit across the side from, the table from Iran, and, we're going to tell Iran that they can't do this, they can't. I'm so tired. And then, listen, I love Iran-ish, kind of. I love him a little bit. And if I hear about what he did in Florida and Disney and wokeism, like, we've heard it already, and you can only listen to your favorite playlist so many times before it just starts going. It's just not effective. I don't like it. I'm tired of it.
I do think that the debate between Lord Gavin and Ron DeSantis, now that one was good. That one was good. And the reason it was good was because it actually put a light on Lord Gavin. And shockingly enough, nobody seemed to want to go kiss his ring, because he's so full of himself and so full of it.
Yeah.
The scary part is the man can lie without flinching.
Yeah.
He can. I mean, there's nobody slicker.
I was surprised, because going into the debate and seeing how Ron DeSantis had just, not done very well on the Republican stage, I honestly thought Gavin Newsom was just going to have his day with him. I thought Gavin Newsom, like, man, this guy's slick. Yep. He's going to be able to talk his way out of it. He's going to be able to look in the camera and, give him that, I call him the used car salesman type of, like, and he wasn't able to. Like, Ron DeSantis got in another mode. He was I think Ron does better as running for governor than he does for president. I mean, Ron was on fire. He was great. He was charismatic. He was like one of us, right? Mm-hmm. He was speaking. And then Gavin Newsom not only just had he's so arrogant that he honestly believed that he didn't have to prep for that debate. For some odd reason, he believed that facts were on his side, that California was doing amazing. And he honestly thought Ron DeSantis, honestly, I thought Ron DeSantis was not going to do great. He probably went in there with that kind of mentality, but I think it also showed a lot of people how arrogant Gavin Newsom really is, and how they don't care. Like, they don't care about you. They don't care about the common people. They don't know the daily struggle that, the average American goes through. So you're right. Now, that debate, when you have people that, how should I say this? That debate, we left with, we achieved something. It was the final nail in the coffin of, hey, Florida is way better than California. Like, they've done way better. Like,
absolutely.
I don't hear a liberal now saying after that debate, like, no, California is still bad. That pretty much put the nail in that coffin.
We have better weather, and after that, and you might argue that we have more beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I hate Florida. I don't like Florida. I think it all smells like cheap cologne, and I hate the color teal. I hate Florida. I went over. It's ugly. Sorry, Florida. Not sorry, Florida. It's ugly. It smells. It's hot. It's humid. At least over here, we're not as hot. I guess we are. The humidity kills you over there.
The humidity
that's even worse.
kill you.
That's even worse.
Now, I want to put an image in everybody's head. How many of the listeners or viewers have seen Beavis and Butthead?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, picture Gavin Newsom and picture Butthead. It's scary. It's not like,
oh man,
it is just
never thought about that.
Scary. They have the same nose, they have the same hair, they have the same forehead, and they have the same mentality.
Yeah, I guess I've never thought about that. Huh. Well, here's the other thing that's interesting. What is it with so Kamala Harris? We can all agree just wasn't ready for prime time.
Oh,
right.
She's still not.
She wasn't ready. I honestly thought she was going to be able to fake it a little bit, right? Or at least sound. I mean, she is totally.
Wait, you're telling me the school bus speech wasn't on?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves a yellow school bus.
Oh, yeah.
The meaning of time?
Yeah, that was. Let me tell you, come on. I don't know what it is, but she hasn't performed well. Gavin Newsom didn't perform well. I'm not sure. I think the days of the eloquent, sweet talking Democrats, you're not going to find another Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton, and you can say whatever you want about Bill Clinton, but I mean, Bill Clinton, that's awesome. That is, that is
I guess it won't show there,
but Barack Obama was even able to, you gotta, these individuals were able to basically just, fake it till you make it. They were able to eloquently give you something. This generation of Democrats are they're not anywhere on the same plane.
Come on now, Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's about how seriously I can take him too.
Yeah.
Well, look, the best they can do.
He's the best. Yeah, you're probably right. If you put him up in a debate, I think Mayor, Secretary Buttigieg would be better.
Well, unless a strong wind came up and it might blow him over.
The guy's incredibly short. I've been next.
He's short and not a very tough looking man.
He's not. I mean, the guy's like half my.
It's like a beta male personified.
Oh man, but no, those are my takeaways. I think first question is, do you think Donald Trump is going to take any of those candidates as his number 2?
I'd say there's a very, very, notice I said with a couple of varies, an outside chance that he might take Vivek. I think that a woman is way more likely, and it's not going to be Haley. It might be Noem. It might be Stefanik. It might be Hutchinson out of, what is that, Arkansas?
Huckabee.
Yeah.
Huckabee.
Sarah Huckabee.
I think about our former sponsor, Huckleberries. Yeah. Yeah. But okay, listen. I don't see any equation where he gets Vivek or chooses Vivek because other than keeping the movement, who's most Trump-like? Let's just answer that question. Who is most Trump-like that will carry on the MAGA movement without Trump? Who is it?
Carrie Lake.
Yeah, but she
was not elected, regardless of all the problems. She was not elected, which really hurt her. I think she's the most Trump-like. I would put Vivek at number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The blonde woman in the House. Why am I drawing a blank on her name?
Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a bit Trump-like, but she's also kind of been a little bit of a chameleon because she sucked right up to Kevin McCarthy. So
yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene's she's something else. But nonetheless, I'm happy. Is this the last debate? I think before Iowa.
That was the last one.
Thank God. I'm done with the debates. If Trump's not gonna, and by the way, I don't want Trump to debate at all. Mm-hmm. I think he needs to take a playbook from the left. You don't need him. It only hurts him. And why give the media more fodder, right? To do anything. He doesn't need him.
Well, the Biden campaign just declared that they're not going to debate, period.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
That came out like 4 or 5 days ago.
They're not going to do any presidential debates?
No.
No way. I did not know that.
Yeah.
No presidential.
So he's going to hide in the basement just like before.
No way.
Basement Joe.
I did not know that. Not even the Presidential Commission on Debates.
They said
the 2.
They just put out no. Now, if the right pressure came up or somebody had enough money, I mean, you can buy anything with Joe Biden. So, if the right powers that be wanted him to debate, can you do anything?
Eric,
there's no line.
And this is where I tell you, I think we have it all wrong. I think Hunter Biden is a national asset. I think you could send him to Ukraine, and he's got so much ties with the Ukrainians and the Russians that he might be able to. We could be owning both countries by the time we walk out. I mean, Hunter Biden is that good. He might be able to solve the situation for us. I don't know how we got off on the Hunter Biden tangent.
Well,
I don't know where I was going. Oh, here we go. No, I think Joe Biden will debate if his poll numbers are just. I mean, if he ever dips like into the 20s, I think he's gonna have to debate.
Well, he had a 33 not too long ago for presidential approval.
Yeah, I think it dips in the 20s. I think he gets pressure. Here's and I don't know where you stand on this, Eric. Do you think they're gonna pull Biden out at the last minute?
I think it's highly likely.
I don't think so at all. Unlikely. I just don't see it.
Well, I think that one of their backup plans was Gavin Newsom, and he just took a big faceplant with that debate.
Yeah. I don't.
And after Gavin Newsom, who is there that's nationally known? That's a nationally known name that anybody would respect. Whitmer? She's almost as bad as Newsom, or some would argue she's worse.
Yeah, no, she's.
So the governor of Michigan.
She would probably perform in a debate even worse than Gavin Newsom. Let's just be real. I mean, and that's. Well,
at least Gavin Newsom has the body language.
Yeah, at least he can.
And the slickness. Yep. He can, without flinching, lie. And optics are part of it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And yeah, you're right. I don't think Whitmer has that. They don't switch out Joe Biden. I don't care what anybody says. They're not switching that man out. It's just not going to happen. Can it happen? Absolutely. Anything before the DNC convention in Chicago, anything before then, yeah, they can switch out whoever they want. I think it's highly unlikely.
Well, they just put in a new rule. at the DNC.
Did they? What's the rule?
Where essentially kind of the synopsis of it is that if there's a problem, they can just insert somebody, even if it's after all the voting.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So they've got a backup plan. We just don't know who that person is. And the fact that Kamala Harris is not considered the backup plan says volumes. Why? It's amazing that he found the only politician that's younger than he is, significantly younger, relatively attractive, and yet less competent than somebody with dementia. I mean, that's kind of scary.
I don't, the Kamala Harris, I just don't get it. And she hasn't even given any, like, sorry, go ahead.
We're going to go ahead and go to break. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXCX, the best talk in town. I want to say thank you to everybody that watches on social media. Please like, subscribe, comment. It all makes a difference in getting this message spread. Today, I'm just kind of having some fun. I'm lucky to be here with the boss, so I'm treading lightly.
No, you go deep. You go all. You can even talk about how if you want Donald Trump to be a dictator, go all
on his day one plan of being a dictator is all good. Let's go ahead and come back. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXCX, the best talk in town. I want to change subjects a little bit. Can our republic survive without a major win, without a major shift in 2024? I get that we need to shift the culture, that there's a whole long list of problems, but we also have to have some wins so that there's hope, so people don't give up. So many people rolled over and became these compliant, spineless cowards during COVID. Well, if you're willing to roll over during COVID, think about this. You probably were also the person that would have rolled over and been compliant if you happen to live in Germany during World War II or pre-World War II as Hitler came to power. Either you become the person that stands, know who you are, stand for this set of principles and this ideal that was written down in the Constitution. So can we survive without some wins in 2024? What do you think?
Absolutely. I think. Well, I don't know why I apologize. I think we can, if I can learn how to turn off an alarm. Sorry about that. There we go. I think we can survive. I don't subscribe to the notion, Eric, that democracy is going to end if Joe Biden is elected to another term, or this is the last election we have for freedom. I believe in America, and this isn't the political answer. I'm going to give it. I believe in America and our ability to overcome anything. And the way our government is set up, I just don't see it. I think the way the three branches of government and throughout history, where one has, Congress in the beginning was very powerful. Then it kind of give some of its power to the Supreme Court, and then more power to the executive branch of government. The way we're set up, and then you add the fourth branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, right, the administrative state. I don't see an avenue for freedom and for America to come down, crashing down. I don't see it now. Can it get a lot worse? Hell yeah, it can get a lot worse. And I think the question for me is always, and people always ask me, like, hey, Guillermo, how bad does it have to get before the left starts to wake up?
Well, it started to happen, but it's nowhere near the numbers needed.
It's not. Well, here's the other thing.
Well, Bill Maher, I mean, you can, Russell Brand.
But why is California still a Democrat?
Because it's not bad enough, because we're largely living the good life.
And that's the key. The problem is, even right now, I think we all agree the economy is not doing well. The American dream is out of reach. It's like a 3.2 million, by the way. There's a new article on it. 3.2 million for the American dream. The millennials are having a hard time with home ownership, with everything. I mean, it's rough right now in America. But you can still go get gas. There's still food on the shelf. You can still go to the mall. You can still buy stuff. We're not in that bad of time. And when I look at how bad does it have to get, if you would have asked me this pre-COVID, I would have said, yeah, if the government shuts you down, if the government doesn't let you go to church, if the government tells you when you can work, when you can't work, who can work, then for sure everyone's going to wake up. But just think of it. We went through a government lockdown. We went through shutdowns. I mean, the government told you pretty much and dictated every aspect of your life. And even then, nothing changed electorally.
electorally, but I want to point out, if you look around the country,
Mm-hmm.
in the last 2 years, there are more state houses that are all Republican.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's
So
factual.
the legislation branch, there are more governors than there used to be. Local is shifting. Here in Fresno County, there's been some shift. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Not near as much as I'd like. But you've got all of these people that before we didn't have a bench. We were just kind of clueless, frankly, before COVID on how much tyranny and how corrupt. I think Trump started that process of awakening people. I think COVID was this great opportunity. I instead of seeing it as a great tyranny, yes, it was. I see it as a great opportunity. I know more people that are now involved in it at a grassroots level, but they've not successfully. A whole bunch of them ran last time. I know 11 people from Constitutionalist ran it for something last cycle. 5 got elected.
That's awesome.
So that's Fresno County. And those people weren't engaged in politics before. There has been a shift, but it's not the numbers we want. My big concern is things like, if you watch Dinesh D'Souza's police state, that the FBI is absolutely still, and New Light just came out the other day, they are still targeting people that are going to school board meetings. There's essentially, it has become an arm of the Democratic Party, and if you express conservative ideas, they're coming for you.
I know that.
So it's a little scary what's happening with the FBI. And, Ray goes before Congress and he just lies through his teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So if people become afraid to speak up, then do we really have freedom? We begin to become that much more compliant because, oh my God, I don't want to get canceled. Canceled's one thing, that's private. And I don't want the FBI knocking on my door. I want to point out that during the Twitter files, not Schellenberger, the other guy, as he's testifying before Congress, the FBI showed up at his door on a supposed IRS problem. What is his name? It was Schellenberger and the other guy. Oh, well.
The other guy. You'll
Sorry.
remember it.
I'll remember it later when it doesn't matter. So, that concerns me. Here in California, crime has gotten so incredibly bad that while it is awakening some people, if we have 4 more years of this, how do we recover? I think we have to have some wins and some points of hope.
Yeah. Well, I want the wins, obviously. I'm realistic. And you do raise a very good point where it's like, hey, Guillermo, we have more Republicans elected to statewide office. However, it's not translating to the federal elections. Why not? And this is what I think I said this on Alan's show earlier. I said the reality is Democrats harvest, we campaign. Okay?
That's part of it. I see another piece, but I'm going to let you make your point.
Well, I have a really big issue with us not really getting into the election integrity issues that we have in Michigan, that we have in Wisconsin, that we have in Pennsylvania, that we have in Georgia, that we have in Arizona, and that we have in Nevada. Because, damn it, come election night, that's what matters. And right now, I think the Democrats are way too quiet to just, they're not worried about 2024 when all the polls say, hey, guys, you should be worried. And I'm thinking like they have an insurance policy. And just like they did in 2020, they're going to have an insurance policy while we're all looking at Chris Christie and the 4 go at it and Donald Trump's court cases. Like, is our head in the right place? Because if it's not, the same thing that happened in 2020 is going to happen in 2024.
No, I believe that ballot harvesting is the greatest threat to democracy because it's so easy to cheat.
Yeah.
Just we need one day vote, maybe a national day to vote, or at least each state decides on its one day. None of this 30 days to vote, 30 days to count. California set up the perfect system to cheat. 30 days to vote, 30 days to count. Well, magically they can keep finding ballots until they found the number that they feel they need.
Yeah. But Eric, are you going to give your ballot up if someone comes to your door?
No, I'll take it down to the Register of Voters office and do it myself.
And I think that's our problem. I wouldn't give up my ballot.
Yeah.
But if conservatives a producer, would you give up your ballot if someone came to your door? Probably not. And that's the problem. You go. the majority of liberals, they'll give up their ballot. And oh, wait, don't go. Let me go get my family. Let me go get my brothers, my sisters. We don't do that. So either we learn how to trust each other, or we got to defeat the game, which we're not defeating the game. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to win elections in those really close swing states where we're behind already with just the way the game is played. I don't know how we do it.
Voting's part of it, but also, you mentioned Ronna McDaniels. She did her best to torpedo anybody that was nationalist, populist, essentially MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
And she supported all the other candidates. Yet somehow Trump still backed her. I don't understand for the life of me why.
He had a great opportunity to back Harmeet Dillon.
Yes, he did.
I mean, that
was a game changer that he blew it.
I don't understand the reasoning. Maybe the reasoning and rationale is she didn't have the votes, and he figured, hey, I just got to play nice with Ronna because she's still going to be there, and she's setting up the debates, and I don't know what his rationale is, but if Harmeet Dillon were the RNC chair, I mean,
she gets things done.
Besides, she would have sued the pants off of every swing state by now, and she would have been in the process of trying to figure out electoral. I mean, we need smart people in charge. Let's just be real, because they have smart people on their end, and they do, because they keep beating us in some of these close. I mean, they have smart. Look what happened in Georgia, Herschel Walker. Look what happened with the gubernatorial race in Arizona.
And we don't. It's not just that they outspent us. In most of those cases, like what you mentioned, it's 2-1, 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
It's that they had a better plan and they had a better ground game. You can overcome money to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have zero money, but you have to have a better ground game and better organization to overcome that.
And we don't.
No. Here in Fresno County, there's some hope.
Tell me where the hope is.
With the precincts, with the precinct captains.
Okay, yes.
So I think there's a possibility.
Yeah.
Getting more people registered to vote.
Yeah.
While I wouldn't trust somebody else with my ballot, there are numerous people that I run their ballot rather than I say, don't mail it. I will take it down to the Register of Voters office and give it directly to them. Are you okay with that? And so the last few years, I've harvested numerous ballots. Mm-hmm. I think it's immoral, but we have to. We have to reach a point where we're winning enough that we can begin to change how elections are run, so they can go back to being fair. But you have to win in order to do that.
Yeah, you don't have a football team going on the field saying, "I don't like this thing about yardage." I think we should always have the ball, and we should all play nice, not tackle each other. It's just not the way it works. Politics now is a different game. And we got to shut up and play the game. That's just the way it is. So, and here locally, you mentioned Fresno County. I think we're obviously better off than the majority of the state. I think we do a very good job. But I think the political landscape is going to be very different in Fresno County. Come 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. High-speed rail ever gets here, I think that's going to, just fundamentally just change the makeup of the Central Valley, because what it is, and you've heard me say on my show, it's population transfer. What they're doing is they want to bring people from down south and up north, and they want to give them cheaper housing. It's going to happen, and I don't believe.
But I don't think it's about housing. I think it's about a new way to control people, and they realize that Democrats are much more likely to want more bureaucracy. They want the government to grow. They believe that the government is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of the Ronald Reagan thought, where the scariest words I've ever heard are, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help you. I think I got that slightly wrong, but the gist was right.
No, you're good. Yeah. Now, if they tell you that anything from the government, more than likely, that if the government comes to you and says, we're going to improve your life, more than likely not going to happen. Let's just be real. There have been things, and Social Security is one of them. Okay. I'm a big believer in that. Certain welfare programs are good. We were on welfare when I was younger.
If it's a hand up, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there needs to be
limits. You got to have limits. You got to have a WIC. I love if they still do it the same way. WIC, women and children, where they give you the vouchers and you go and it specifically says what you got to get. But this cash value, or you can get cash, or you can sell them. You can buy stuff. I mean, and here the sad part is here, and I know you guys see it. You go to 7-Eleven in the morning near school. All those kids are using the food stamp debit card, and they're buying chips, they're buying soda, they're buying 2 liters. I mean, it's just like that's not what that program was intended for. So, and this is all, Eric, here's another thing. It's about messaging too, because, and I hear this all the time. Oh, Latinos are, they're conservative. They just don't know it. It's like, well, no, they know they're conservative. We just don't do a good job harvesting that vote, you know, and it's up to us. And I think we as a party and as Republicans are somewhat to blame.
No, we're definitely to blame.
Yeah.
Not somewhat. We're definitely to blame. How often do Republican either candidates or the central committees, do they go out and they do outreach things?
Zero.
It's not quite zero, but it's way low. Now, there are some, like RNHA, Republican National Hispanic Assembly, here in Fresno County. They're doing some things. Coming up next month, we're going out to Cherry Auction on a Tuesday.
There you
and
go.
We're taking some Spanish speakers, and we're going to try to get people to register to vote and talk to them about being a Republican.
You just show up, Eric. Just show. I agree. The Latino, it's there for the. It's literally there for the taking. You just show up, and you get rid of this. They listen. They know. They see the status of the state. They know what life was like during a Trump presidency. And they're just there, and they just want to know that you're not a scary, racist person like they have that Univision and the liberal media paints you. They talk to a conservative, and they're like, "Oh, well, that wasn't that bad."
Well, no, you start talking to them about your values.
I'm alive still, like that. Yeah, of course it would. And I'll never forget. I had a conversation with a carpet installer. He probably was, illegal, and we had a conversation of, I think what did I ask him? I said, "Hey, our material's up." And he goes, "Oh yeah, horrible." And I said, "Yeah." And I go, and I always want to talk about politics. And I said, "So yeah." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I wanted to buy a house, but I can't. I don't have papers. And, but I'm going to give the money to my son. He's going to buy the house. But we can't. I mean, interest rates are too high." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I know you can't vote, but what do you think?" And he's like, "Everything they told us that Trump is what Biden is doing." And he's like,
"But that's the MO of the Democratic Party.
It was way better." He's like, "Everything they said that Trump was, Joe Biden is." He goes, I'd rather have the racist guy back."
But see,
and I was like, "Well, he's not racist, but
but these people already realize it. We just have to go out and have a conversation."
You do. Yeah.
And that's the biggest deal. Because of the whole woke cancel culture, the idea that, oh no, you can't talk about the third rail. You can't talk about politics. You can't talk about religion with your family. Well, I think you're most obligated to talk about them with your family, with your neighbors, with your friends. Now, if you don't agree, maybe you find a way to be as kind as possible, but you still got to talk.
Amen. And here, Eric, here's the thing. I have friends on the left. I do. And
I'm sorry.
But
so do I. But
and it's my fault because they're still on the left. And I haven't done my job apparently. And that's why I have a best friend she voted for Hillary Clinton, and the daughter though. I'm working on the daughter. The daughter is like she's already done. She's already done. Anyhow, but and I tell her that's my greatest.
Sick your little sister.
That's
on her.
Oh man, she wanted to deport me. So, but here's the reality: is that I'm okay with conversation. You know what I mean? I would love to. And I do actually just talk to Miguel at an event that we were at, and you know what he told me? He saw me and my wife, and he goes, "Oh, hey, she hasn't left you for someone a couple shades lighter than you." And I was like, anyhow, but and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I told you about the event. I was like, "What the hell are you doing here, buddy?" And so, it's one of those things where I'm going to hammer him every single day. I'm going to be there. I'm going to tell him he's wrong. I don't believe in his policies. Yeah. And he'll tell me the same thing. And at the end of the day, if him and I were to debate each other in front of a Latino family, that's for me, that's all I want. You know what I mean? I want people to hear both sides, because I would say about 70% of the time we win. The facts are on our side. It's easy. Like, it's not hard being, advocating for conservative values. I mean, it's there. It's easy.
It's common sense. It's about family. It's about prosperity.
That's it. Yeah. We want everybody to be successful. I want you to be successful. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter what you identify. It doesn't matter. For me, and I know not all conservatives believe this, but I just want you to be successful. And that's about it.
Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and take a break. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town. As all my listeners know, the final segment, I try to focus on hope and solutions. So there are some positives.
That Obama hope?
Well, I'm hoping it's real hope as opposed to.
There, Rollins, Constitutionalist.
Let's go ahead and come back. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town. I am joined by the boss here, El Grande Queso. Guillermo Moreno.
There you go. Had a mouthful of water there.
I know, that's why I did it this time. The owner of the station.
Cheese.
And we're kind of talking about what's going on in our nation and can we afford to not win? I don't think we can afford to. We can't, if we lost the presidency, but say we won the House and the Senate pretty handily, that might be enough that we'd be okay. But we have to have at least
the same position. It really is. We're in the same. I get what you're saying.
But there has to be some hope where people are just going to be, I've had it. I'm a little afraid that Biden is so power hungry. He's so willing and eager to use the power of the government to censor social media, to censor and go after people that are going to and speaking at school board meetings.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone after independent journalists through the deep state,
mm-hmm.
largely through the FBI, but not exclusively. You know, just like Obama set up the IRS as a arm of the Democratic Party to go after people. Well, Biden is simply carrying on Obama's legacy. And they define freedom so differently. You know, if you watch that debate between Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis, when they talked about freedom, they talked about entirely different things. How do we bridge that gap? How do we find a solution where we can talk common sense to the everyday American? I'm not talking about the ones on the far right or the far left. I'm talking about in the middle. How do you find those people and awaken them and mobilize them to make a difference?
You start at home. You know, you start at home. You make sure that you're having that conversation at the dinner table. First of all, eat dinner together. Eat dinner together. Eat it at a table. Ronald Reagan had a thing or two to say about that.
Yes, he did.
Eat at the dinner table. Talk to your kids. You know what I mean? Let's be real. We're only going to vote in a couple more elections before we all leave this earth anyways. They're going to vote in a couple more than us. You talk to your kids and you start at home. That's where you start first. And then you branch out. You talk to your neighbors. You know, you talk to your community and you talk to anybody that's willing to listen, and you do it in a compassionate way. And you don't ram it down their throats. You don't do that. I mean, when you're trying to evangelize, a non-believer, or you don't say Jesus is. I know a couple people that do this.
They do, but they're not very effective.
I know. You're going to hell. No. And here's the other thing that I think a lot of Republicans don't understand too is maybe you might just be that you're planting a seed, or maybe you're watering a seed that's already been planted. You might not see that harvest. I mean, with me, I was a Democrat growing up. And I had a lot of people that probably were like, oh my gosh, kid. And I know I a couple in high school. I remember a couple of conservatives in high school that were so kind, they didn't call me stupid or like, you're an idiot. I mean, unfortunately today, that's what the high school kids are doing because of politics. But back in the day, they were very compassionate. Like the conservatives were like, Guillermo, like, no, dude, you're wrong. Like, no, it was very compassionate. And the seed was planted. And then finally I was like, you know what? I guess I see it now. So, have that conversation, start at home, start in your community. And I know sometimes it's hard. You might not even like your neighbor. I think Fox News had something about two neighbors going at it. You might not even like your neighbor, but the reality is you're in the same community. The same thing affects you, and talk to everybody. Talk to the person that you least expect. And here's the other, don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, absolutely.
Do not judge a book by its cover.
The number of conservatives I know that are all tatted up, including on their face, blows my mind.
Yeah. And I'll even go. I mean, it just, you'll be surprised. I'll just leave it at that. And you got some people that you're like, wait a minute, you don't fit the conservative stereotype. Like, and right. they're more conservative than me sometimes.
Well, I think this whole freedom idea, it's still around the world, and we just saw a major shift in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wish the man luck. He's a lot like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Javier Milei.
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Yeah.
He's wild-eyed. Trump holds back compared to this guy. He is hardcore. No, here we have a country that essentially lived socialism for years. By the way, socialism doesn't work. It's not just that the wrong people are in charge. The concept isn't prosperous. You might have some equity, meaning everybody is oppressed equally, except for the ruling elite. And in socialism and communism, there's always the ruling elite. So there's still rich people. So you didn't fix that problem if that's your idea.
Preach it. And I think, and this is where, I would like someone that has an America first type of mentality. And let me tell you what, for all these other countries, I want someone that has Mexico first for Mexico. I want someone to have El Salvador first for El Salvador, and Argentina and Brazil and so forth and so on.
You're not very globalist.
I'm not at all, clearly. Because it benefits. I think a lot of issues at our southern border could be solved. They really could. I think the Mexican corruption, and it's still not even close to Ukrainian corruption. Imagine that.
Wow.
But the amount of corruption that there is in Mexico is just insane. I mean, the Mexican people they have so many just natural resources, so many assets that if they had a Mexican first mentality, we'd be in an entirely different geopolitical arena here in North America. But it's just...
Well, but those people that are, for my lifetime at least, and I'm a little over 50, there's been a safety valve in Mexico. So they were already corrupt 50 years ago, but there was this safety valve. All of those people that were motivated enough and they wanted a better life, they crossed the border and they came here and they figured it out. Yeah. So some of their best and brightest are constantly leaving, as opposed to staying and making it a better country.
Yeah, they're not going to do. While we're talking about Mexico and the United States, I don't subscribe to, and I think everybody had this. You're not going in and killing the cartel. Like, Ron DeSantis, I'm going to send American troops on day one to. It's like, listen. Let's just be real here. That's either a very narrow-minded. The cartel is. I mean, it is in the highest offices. It is entrenched. I mean, they have. You talk about Hamas and the tunneling system.
No, that has to be fixed from the inside.
Exactly. Let's be real. You're not going to commit American troops to go take out a drug cartel. It's just not going to happen. Is it worthy? Hell yeah, it is. I mean, with the amount of fentanyl deaths, I get it. With the amount of human trafficking, for sure. But I mean, you're talking about.
But we don't have to fix Mexico. What we have to do is fix the border, which is a much simpler problem.
Yeah, agreed.
Trump wasn't perfect in how he fixed the border, but oh my God, he was like a dream compared to what we got going on.
He was, and this is what I tell people about Trump because obviously being Latino, they're like, oh my goodness, Trump's racist. He wants to deport everyone. It's like, well, listen, and I don't think people are going to realize this until maybe if Trump serves a second term. I think it's going to be another tumultuous 4 years, and I don't think everyone's going to fight him on it. It's going to be the same thing as the first time around. Hopefully, we'll be better off. And I also don't think you can solve everything in just 4 years. But Trump.
He turned around the 8.5 years of dead economy into a good economy in 2.5 years or 2 years.
But he's going to get the country in a far worse shape the second time around than he did the first.
Absolutely.
And the world. So I think that's where my 4 years, like, oh man, I don't know. He could. It's it's Trump. Give him a challenge. He'll do it. But I forgot where I was going. Got a Joe Biden moment there.
What were we talking about?
Oh man, I don't know.
Turn around and shake hands with nobody behind you.
Oh, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
Gosh.
At least you didn't fall off the chair.
Yeah, there you go. It's gonna bug me.
Well, we're down to about 2 minutes. From my perspective, we have to change. You have to change yourself. Then it gives you an opportunity to change your family. Yeah. You need to become more educated.
Do your own research.
Listen.
There is a liberal station in town.
Ugh.
Turn it on once in a while.
PBS is painful to listen to.
There's another one. There's PBS. This one's
PBS
worse.
is bad, but NPR is a whole level worse.
But listen,
all things considered means they have a fake liberal and then a hardcore leftist, and they make the fake liberal pretend like that's the conservative because they can't even give it to you straight.
Yeah, it's so true. That's very true. But do your own research. Talk to your kids, man. Talk to your kids. So many conservatives are like, my son or my daughter's liberal, and it's like, well, that's your fault. Like, no offense, that is genuinely your fault. Like that's.
Did you take time?
Yeah, exactly. Did you take the time?
There's two big influences that have your kids for most of the time. One is parents, and the other is schools. Well, you have to counter the fact that schools are insane.
Mm-hmm.
That they're promoting a woke agenda, LGBTQ, sexualizing kids, not teaching basics. Hey, here's a great idea. What if you were to go to a Constitution class or civics class with your kid?
Yeah. That's true. And Eric, here's the other thing. A lot of our kids don't have stable households. They don't have stable parents. One thing that conservatives have to do is we have to get into the community in a very caring and compassionate way that doesn't involve politics at all.
No, through the church.
Oh, that's another topic that, oh man.
I think that should happen.
Amen.
Through organized religion.
Yeah.
We have an obligation to help our community.
Amen.
You want the final word? We're down to 5 seconds.
Oh man, no. You get the final word.
I get the final word. Well, I think this was an interesting conversation today, and I thank you for this time, my friend.
Thank you.
This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXCX, the best talk in town. I don't know if we need a cut. I'm supposed to do a Christmas message.
Yes, you are.